This is how I used to make lye back in the good old days, which you can use as a drain cleaner, but I use it for soap. And I save all my ash. And when hardwoods grow, they take potassium out of the soil. And when you burn the hardwood, the potassium doesn't burn. So you can soak water in the ash. And because the potassium is water soluble, what you end up with potassium hydroxide. It's a chemical KOH. Anyway, this is the last of my ash from last year. All the stuff on the internet says just to use the white ash, but I just throw everything in. And a little water, not too much. You want it to kind of be like a mud, a little thinner than mud, but maybe a gallon right now. And I just keep adding a little more until I get a certain consistency. Can you see that? Maybe I should adjust it so you can. How's that? Maybe just a little more. You don't want too much water, because later you'll have to simmer that off. There we go. Now, just for curiosity's sake, I wanted to try to make this stuff, just to make my own soap the way they would have done it. I was reading the Laura Ingalls books to my two daughters a couple of years ago. They talked about the things they did in preparation for the coming of autumn. And I decided that I would like to try to make soap like they did. I had no idea how good it would turn out. I thought it would be junky soap, you know, kind of a brown paste like you read about. My mom said, "Oh, you can do it, but it's greasy." I found it wasn't greasy if I made the right mix. You see, I've got it pretty thick here. Maybe just a little bit more, not much. Another quart, maybe. Pint. Yeah, that's good. So we'll let this soak for a couple hours. I keep scraping it up off the bottom. This stuff starts to get pretty caustic. It can really burn you even at this point, so you've got to be careful. It's kind of surprising how strong this stuff can be. Now, this is the stuff that will eat things like, it's almost like an acid, although it's the opposite of an acid. It's an alkaline or a base. But it will eat skin and hair, which is why it works so well as a drain cleaner. So, it's safe in plastic, it's safe in, say, stainless steel and glass, but it's not good on your skin. It will immediately bond with the fats in your skin and make a kind of a soap out of the very oils in your skin. Okay, well anyway, I'm going to leave this and come back in a couple hours. I got some wood to stack. And then I'll show you how I strain out the big chunks and then the smaller chunks. I really want to get this moving. So I know there's still stuff down there I haven't gotten loose. There. Eventually I'll get this really going. And you just keep it there for a couple hours. Really suspended. Now we'll just quick nice, huh? There you go. Sometimes I end up hanging this in this bucket. So I might go rinse this out and hang this in this bucket, because this is going to end up sitting in its own. Yeah. Now I can see that stuff really going through. Even at this point, if you touch it, you can feel it. It feels kind of soap-like on your fingers. Anyway, I'll just agitate this for a little bit, but then you can leave it, come back later. Well, that's just about it now. I'm getting a little bit more drip out of there, but that's about all I'm going to get. I mean, if I were really patient, I could leave it overnight, but to get an extra 5%, 10%, I got pretty much all of it. I'm going to run this to the woods, dump this, and show you how I help to clarify that before I simmer it. I'll do the next stage of filtering. I take an old t-shirt, you know, and bundle up bundle it up like this along the waistline. Alright, now when I pour this, I'm going to leave some of the mud behind, you know, because I don't want to mess with it and have to... later, of course, we're going to simmer all this, and I don't want to have to boil it all the way. So, you kind of... see all that... Now what's left is kind of like a slurry of solids. Well, what I found here to push on the thing with was a 4x4. I poured my last bit of my slurry in there. The 4x4 seems to be really working. I mean, it's actually more like a, I don't know what it is, 5x5. Big thing. See, I'm just getting... And if you guys want them, if you're soap makers, this is about the amount that you might want for a batch of soap, you know, 12 bars or so, 10, 12 bars of soap. Whatever's in it. And again, I'm not trying to get every last drop. This isn't the most efficient way. This is just kind of a fun, easy way that you can do. You wouldn't want to sell soap if you had to do this for all of it. That's about all I'm going to get. So we'll go ditch this. And that's pretty much what we've got right there. And we'll go simmer that, and the last little bit will come out of the bottom, and I'll pour the top off into a clean pan. You'll see. And well, here we are at the stove. Like magic, right? It's easy for you. Well, I'm going to turn the heat on. I think you can probably see it's just murky in there. Let's see. See, it's kind of just gray and murky. I think as it clears up, but I've just turned the heat on, so we'll give it a little while. See the muck at the bottom. As I heat it, that stuff will tend to sink to the bottom. I don't know why. I've just noticed that it sinks to the bottom. And then I'll pour this off into another pan. I'll do that maybe a couple times, each time leaving behind maybe 5%. And it'll keep getting clearer and clearer. Alright, well, it's come to a boil now, so I'm going to turn it off and let it just rest a minute, and a lot of that stuff will settle to the bottom. And sometimes I'll tip it just a little bit, and even prop it up on a pan or something like this, just to kind of get it to. Let me just. There we go. Then I'll set it just like that to get it to more of the stuff to settle in the corner. And at this point, it's a good idea to keep your vinegar around because this stuff is it's a very strong base, and vinegar is an acid. So you keep it open, keep it nearby, so that if you have a spill, if you get it on your finger, you can douse it in the vinegar, which will neutralize it. And after a little while I'll come back and I'll pour that into a shallower pan like this, or I have some others, and that way you can see it as it clarifies. Okay, I'm going to try to move this now, try to pour this from one container into another. So move that guy out of the way. I'm going to use this pan. I'm trying not to disturb this too much as I try to pour it very, very carefully. Yeah, that looks pretty clear now. It's still kind of cloudy, but we've got time. We'll do another run after this and get it pretty clear. This looks exactly like the water that comes out of a can of black olives. That's what it looks like. Let's go for one more pour here. See how we can get it. Now I'm sure this would have been a little cleaner if I had not put in the charcoal, but that's okay. I'm lazy. Pretty good though, huh? Really has that nice kind of apple juice look. There's still a little cloudiness kind of going around in there. But you know, I'm going to put it back on and keep simmering it. It's getting there, huh? Well, now I've got this thing just about as clean as I think I'm going to get it. I mean, I could go a little bit cleaner, but it's painstaking and you lose a little bit of fluid each time you do it. I've got a little more going back here that still has a lot of sediment in it, but I think I might be able to pour just a little off the top. But this is getting to the point where now we'll start to see crystals forming in here, and I think it's starting to do it now. Well, it's really getting down there now. It's drying up pretty well. I've had very little spatter, but I want to turn the heat down a little bit. But you can see what it's doing here. It's just boiling like almost. Oh, you can see it. I mean, it's almost a solid at this point. Very little water left. Okay, well now what's going on? There's just almost nothing left now. Sounds different. Looks different. It's just about done. Well, thanks for watching my video. I should say that at this point, because can't be too much longer left, huh? Alright, well there you have it.
homemade wood ash lye reduced to crystals. So you can store this and make soap out of it later. You could use it as a drain cleaner. You had no idea how useful your fireplace ashes were. This is about enough for a good-sized batch of soap. You know. And you can make some pretty good soap too. It'll actually get a little lighter than this as it dries. Not quite as white as table salt or anything like that, because I did leave some charcoal and some other impurities, so there's carbon and stuff in it too. It's not perfect, but it's, you know, as good as they would have had on the prairie.